Hey everyone, Mitch Cubby with the Commander's Quarters. Welcome to the show. So, I hope you had a good week, and I had a lot of fun at MagicCon Minneapolis for the one day I was able to make it. And outside of MagicCon, well, even inside of it too, there were a lot of exciting things going on because, yeah, we've got some brand new spoilers from over the weekend. And let's jump into it with a very exciting one, starting things off with Sliver Gravemother. That's right, we've got yet another 5-color Sliver Commander. Oh my gosh, yeah, the power of Slivers is absurd, and yeah, you can do a lot of powerful things with this one especially, so let's jump into it. 6/6 legendary creature Sliver, that costs, of course, Wooburg, one of each of the 5 colors. The legend rule does apply to Slivers you control. Okay. Each Sliver creature card in your graveyard has Encore X for X its mana value. That's nice, and on top of that, Encore 5. So, Encore, as a reminder, basically is a way to get a creature back out of your graveyard, but as additional copies of it, and then they go away. Exile this card from your graveyard for each opponent. Create tokens copy that attacks that opponent this turn of Fable. They gain haste, sacrifice, begin extensive, back to basic sorcery. That. But again, basically, because you are getting additional copies, normally Encore wouldn't really work well with Slivers. Or maybe with Slivers, with legendary Slivers, but of course with this, it's like, yeah, hey, your legendary Slivers, yeah, they're also great, cool, fantastic. You can get extra copies of them with Encore, which is fantastic. Or, of course, there are other ways to get even more copies of them in play, and things can get incredibly gross, especially with certain legendary Slivers. Now, outside the legendary Slivers, of course, there are incredibly powerful Slivers out there that aren't legendary and that you're going to love to have additional copies of as well. And yeah, on this episode, of course, I'm going to be taking you through, well, a lot of great Slivers, the budget buys, which are the cards that are less than $1 cards within my budget, and of course the pricier picks, cards outside of my budget, cards that are more than $1, some of which, especially with Slivers, are much more than $1, but yeah, there's a lot of great Slivers out there, and some really exciting things that you can do with this commander. So yeah, this commander is great at recursion, and great in addition, you know, with all the other Sliver effects, and just kind of stacking those on top of each other, and utilizing a certain kind of card that we will get to here in just a little bit. Regardless, all these cards I'm talking about in this episode are going to be in a card list link in the description below. So make sure you check that out if you are interested in this commander. Now, with all that said, let's jump into the budget buys. We're going to start things off with a great one. My goodness. Virulent Sliver. I think I said that right. Anyways, a 1/1 Sliver for 1. Just a single green mana. Nothing really exciting, right? There can't be that much. Oh, wait, here we go. All Sliver creatures have Poisonous 1, which is kind of like Toxic 1, basically. Whenever a Sliver deals combination to a player, the player gets a poison counter. Player 10 or more poison counters loses the game. So this is a great one to have in play. Of course, there's other Slivers that can, you know, get double strike, you know, basically make them unblockable, all those kinds of things, help your Slivers get through. But keep in mind, again, this works incredibly well with your commander when it is in your graveyard because, hey, Sliver Gravemother again says, each Sliver creature card in your graveyard has Encore X for X its mana value. Mana value of 1, meaning we just have to pay a single mana to get 3 copies of this that are going to be in play and attacking as well. And yeah, if we've got ways to get them through, great. But also if we've got other ways to get other Slivers through, this can just be a game-ending decision, a game-ending play. Because, and correct me below, judges out there, rules lawyers out there, if I'm wrong on this one, but yeah, I believe Poisonous 1 would stack. So essentially you'd have every single one of your Slivers would have 3 instances of Poisonous 1, meaning that if they hit an opponent each time they hit essentially, right, that would be 3 poison counters per hit. And again, with double strike, that would be 6 per each Sliver hitting essentially. And yeah, there's plenty of Slivers out there that can help you in some fantastic ways with this. So yeah, this can be incredibly deadly for you. Moving on. Speaking of deadly, Leeching Sliver, a great one to Encore as well. Whenever a Sliver whenever a Sliver you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life. So again, getting 3 copies of this just for 2 mana out of your graveyard, encoring it. Yeah, that's great. Hey, get 3 copies of it. Swing with your Slivers. Again, for every single Sliver that is swinging, your defending players of those Slivers are going to be losing 3 life. Because again, these are going to be stacking. So that can be pretty brutal. Even with just this in play, though, again, keep in mind with all these things, even just them in play, not even encoring them out, with the amount of Slivers you're going to have attacking, the amount of Slivers you're going to be encoring out, yeah, you can do a lot of great things. Moving on. Predatory Sliver, just a great solid low to the ground Sliver. Sliver creature control, get +1/+1. A great way to pump your entire team. And of course, again, keep in mind when you are encoring this out again for just 2 mana, this is a mass pump effect. It's like kind of like Overrun minus Trample basically, because it's going to be, again, 3 instances of this, which means that your entire team's going to be getting +3/+3. And again, keep in mind there are other Slivers. I haven't mentioned any yet, I don't believe, that apply to all Slivers. There are some Slivers that apply to all Slivers, including your opponents if they have any. And those ones just apply to yours too. So yeah, just make sure keeping that in mind. Next up, this is one that applies to all Slivers the old way that they used to do it. All Slivers have, when this creature comes into play, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Yeah, Harmonic Sliver is gross. Absolutely gross. And again, I believe this would stack as well. So yeah, rules layers out there, please let me know. But I believe, again, if you encore this out for just 3 mana, it's going to be destroying a lot of things. And of course, if you're getting other Slivers into play, I believe with each one of them coming to play, you're going to be destroying, what, like 3 artifacts or enchantments? So gross. Absolutely gross. And yeah, even if, you know, this is just in play itself, if you're encoring other things out, you're going to be getting 3 Slivers into play every single time. Again, I guess I should say, assuming you've got 3 opponents left, because your opponents might not last very long with a commander like this, but assuming you've got 3 opponents, that can be pretty gross. They're not going to be keeping any of their artifacts or enchantments in play. Though, keep in mind, this might apply to yours as well, because this is not a May. So if you destroy all your opponent's artifacts and enchantments, yours are going to be susceptible to your own removal. But that's okay. You don't need artifacts and enchantments, right? You just need Slivers. Moving on, though, we've got Lava Belly Sliver, a great budget Sliver. 2/2 Sliver. Sliver creature you control have when this creature enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target player, planeswalker, and you gain 1 life. Again, great as a one-off. Great as a creature that's just in play. Because, again, when you encore, that's 3 damage, which is very nice. But also, hey, if you've got this encore, that's going to be 3 instances on every single one. So, gross. Lots of damage, lots of life gain. Speaking of damage, yeah, Predatory Sliver is great in those, you know, Anthem effects. This is an Anthem effect in a different way. Sliver creature control +2/+0 on Cleaving Sliver, and I believe there's another one that does basically this exact same thing. But yeah, being able to essentially say, you know what, toughness is good, but hey, let's just go all into the power, essentially, right? Let's have our Slivers hit even harder. So first up, when this is just in play, nice, +2/+0. But when you encore this, again, assuming 3 opponents, +6/+0, that is game ending if you can get your Slivers through. And of course, again, there are plenty of ways to give your Slivers flying, give your Slivers, you know, haste so you can swing around with the other ones, give your Slivers even shadow to make sure they can get through. So yeah, there's a lot of great ways to take advantage of pump effects like this one. Moving on. Dormant Sliver. This one can be a great way to get an absurd amount of card advantage out of it, though of course there is a catch. A 2/2 that has all Slivers have Defender. That's not good usually. You want to be able to attack with your Slivers. That being said, when this permanent enters the battlefield, draw a card. All Slivers are also going to have that too. So yeah, being able to draw an absurd amount of cards with this, again, having those stack, drawing an absurd amount of cards, whenever any Sliver comes into play, if you encore this, again, having 3 of these, yeah, that's gross. So, and of course, there are other Slivers out there that allow you to sacrifice ones, or if you are encoring this, I can't talk, encoring this Sliver, of course, you don't have to worry about that Defender, you know, just constantly applying to all your Slivers. It's just going to apply for that singular turn. And you can do this second main phase as well, you know, to make sure you're taking advantage of that as well. And finally, with these budget Slivers, we've got Mesmeric Sliver, a 2/2 Sliver that says all Slivers have, when this permanent comes into play, you may Fate Seal 1, which means its controller looks at the top card of an opponent's library. Then they may put that card on the bottom of that library. Basically, you get to, you know, kind of pick, you know, and choose what cards your opponents are getting to draw. And you can be like, oh, yeah, well, you've got a lot of, you know, lands in play already. So, hey, let's Fate Seal. Oh, it's a really good card on top. Let's get in the bottom. Hopefully the next one's a land. So, yeah, and again, when you encore this out, having 3 instances of this can be quite gross. And you can really slow your opponents down to an absolute crawl. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic. When it comes to other budget buys, let's talk about some clones as well. Mirror Image is a great one. Enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control. Again, keep in mind, the legend rule does not apply to your Slivers. So, we'll get to some really big Slivers here in a bit that you're going to want to make copies of. And yeah, this is quite the gross one to do so. So yeah, just a 3 mana clone. Be like, hey, cool, let's get an extra copy of it. Why not? Of course, like, there's a lot of just clones out there. I mean, obviously, the regular clone, hey, 4 mana is great as well. This one copy an opponent's creature too. But yeah, most likely you're going to be copying your own Slivers. You've got great instances of, even outside of your legendary Slivers, you know, of things that you might want to copy, get additional value out of, and yeah, have fun with all these kinds of clone effects with a commander like this. Keeping in mind, one really spicy one with this, Morai of the Frost. A 0/0 legendary snow creature that is a shapeshifter and also a changeling, which means that's every creature type, no matter where it is, including Sliver. So yes, you can encore this out, and yes, the legend rule does not apply to this either. So there you go. Make additional copies of your best Slivers out there. And actually, when this comes into play, it's going to make it snow as well. And also, yeah, the creature that it is cloning, it's also going to come to play 2 counters on it too. So that's nice. But yeah, basically a really good card to interact with your legendary Slivers, all these clone effects. So there you go. Finally, in the budget buys, let's talk about Warstorm Surge. Again, with all these creatures entering the battlefield, including when you're encore them, you're getting 3 copies of them, and some of them are going to be quite powerful, especially in combination, with those other pump effects as well. Warstorm Surge can be fantastic, a great way to finish off your opponent's creatures, finish off their planeswalkers, finish off their bases, actually battles too now. Whenever a creature in the battlefield under control deals damage equal to its power to any target, yeah, this can get quite gross, quite quick. And there's some legendary Slivers out there we talk about in just a little bit now that can make this absolutely absurd. So now that we've talked about every single one of the budget buys, let's move on to the pricier picks. Again, cards that are unfortunately outside of my budget, but might be within your budget again. More than $1 cards. Let's start things off with Essence Sliver, a really cool sliver that's worded in a very interesting way. I believe this was before lifelink was actually a thing. But yeah, here we go. Whenever a sliver deals damage to its controller, it gains that much life. So hey, when your slivers are dealing damage in any way, combat, yeah, lava belly sliver type effects, yeah, you're going to be gaining life. And again, that's great when you have one of these in play, but again, if you encore this out and have multiple instances of it, those, I believe, again, are going to stack, and you're going to be like, yeah, gaining 3 times as much life for every single time one of these slivers is hitting. And anyway, yeah, have fun with that. You're going to pad your life total to an absurd amount. Oh, speaking of absurd, I forgot to put this one in here. Here we go. Brood Sliver, I love this one. Yeah, $10 card for a reason. 3/3 Sliver that says, whenever a Sliver deals counter to a player's controller, may put a 1/1 color Sliver creature token into play. Having 3 instances of this, again, when you encore it out, can be absolutely gross. Again, you've got all these other, sliver effects, anthem effects for slivers, essentially. They're just applied to all of them. So why not create more and more and more of these slivers, right? Yeah, you can do some pretty absurd things with this in play. Next up, Sliver Hive Lord. Absolutely great. Hey, Sliver creature control of indestructible. That's very nice because this is hard to deal with as well. And of course, if your opponents might find ways to deal with this one, maybe make a clone version of it. Maybe, make an extra copy of it just to be extra safe. So your opponent has to deal with multiple of these to actually try to get through, to try to stop your army. This can be absolutely great. And again, yeah, just a great creature to have for this kind of a deck. And again, a great way to get around that legend rule of your commander. Moving on, we've got Sliver Legion. And I love the art on this one, actually. This, I believe, is the secret layer art for it. But yeah, a fantastic one. 7/7 Sliver for Wooburg that says, all Sliver creatures get +1/+1 for each other Sliver on the battlefield. Now, keep in mind, if you are playing into your opponent's Sliver deck, this is going to get quite crazy. But if you're just, your own Sliver deck and you're not playing against any other Sliver decks, this only applies to, just Slivers. So if your opponents aren't playing Slivers or Changelings, you're good to go. Regardless, yeah, an absurd amount of way to pump your creatures. And hey, if you encore this out, getting 3 instances of that is incredible, is insane, is game ending. Your opponents are going to last very long with that, especially again like Warstorm Surge. I told you I would mention some legendary slivers that work well with that. There you go. Hey, encore this out, and that's probably just game right there with the amount of pump that each of these are going to get. It's absolutely absurd. Next up, Sliver Overlord. Not one that really you care too much about encoring out, but just a great one to have. Sliver Overlord is a 7/7 that says pay 3 search life for a Sliver card revealed, put in your hand, and then shuffle or pay 3 gain control target Sliver. Again, if you are playing against another Sliver deck, great. Great gain control of their Slivers. But if not, hey, yeah, just a 3 mana tutor repeatable to go get your best Slivers in your hand. Fantastic. On top of that, you might also want to consider, in case you do really want to encore some of these out, some discard outlets too. So that could work really well to go, okay, I'll go get a Sliver. Cool in my hand. I'll discard my graveyard. I'll encore it out. Get those effects right away. Yeah, it can be absolutely fantastic. Next up, the first Sliver. Things can get absolutely crazy with this one. Cascade. When you cast it, exile cards out of your library. 2 exile a non-land card that costs less. Play without paying its mana cost for the exile cards random order. Yeah, absolutely a great effect. Keep in mind, encoring this out will not get you that Cascade because that is a cast trigger, okay? So keep that in mind. That being said, when you do encore this out, Sliver spells you cast have Cascade. I believe, again, rules lawyers out there, correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong on this, but with 3 instances of this, that would be pretty absurd because then whenever you cast any Sliver spell, you Cascade, Cascade, Cascade. Yeah, nearly the quadruple Cascade. I cannot remember the card. Apex something. I cannot remember the card's name, but basically, hey, Cascade 3 times every single time you cast a Sliver spell. Yeah, have fun with that. And of course, again, clone this again and again and again with other things too to just make things pretty absurd. Moving on, not a legendary sliver, but one can do something pretty legendary again. Gigantic sliver, +3/+3 to all your slivers. Again, encoring this out, that's +9/+9 for every single one of your slivers. Your opponents are going to be in big trouble. They're going to get taken out quite easily with this. Moving on, comes to pricier picks as well. Yeah, this card is $90 now, apparently. Doubling season. Yep, it's good. Anytime you've got, those doubling token effects is going to be great. If an effect, create one of our tokens under control. Create twice that many. Also, it comes to counters on permanents, doubles that up too for you as well. That being said, yeah, this Parallel Lives, those types of cards are going to be great with Encore because, hey, what's better than making 3 copies of something? Making 6 copies of something. So yeah, this again can be just game ending by having it in play and encoring with the, certain things. So have fun with that. Speaking of that, yeah, how about a clone that can make copies as well? You may have it into the battlefield as a copy of any creature in the battlefield, except it has the beginning of your upkeep. If this creature isn't a token, create a token's copy of this creature. Progenitor Mimic is a great clone, and yeah, just start making more and more copies of your slivers, even your legendary slivers. This can be absolutely crazy. So yeah, this is a really interesting new command of this Sliver Gravemother, and yeah, I think it can do some really exciting things. I think some players are going to be out there going to be very excited about this one, and yeah, players out there love their Slivers. It's yet another Sliver command I think is going to make a big impact. It's going to make an impact in other Sliver decks that are already existing, and yeah, it might convince some Sliver players out there to, well, yeah, change their Sliver commander out there. We'll see how exactly popular this one's going to be compared to other ones. We shall see. So yeah, make sure you're staying tuned for other quick takes and spoilers coming up, though. A lot of exciting things going on. And of course, again, if you are interested in this commander, check out that card list link in the description below. And as always, thanks again and have a good one.
This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.